I regret to inform you that we simply cannot dispense such substantial funds to just anyone who walks through our doors," stated Maya Wilson, the branch supervisor, her tone dripping with disdain as she slid the withdrawal slip back across the mahogany counter. "Particularly not sums of this magnitude." Her words reverberated through the opulent main hall of Summit Financial's premier location as employees gathered in a circle nearby. One young woman whispered to her colleague, audibly enough for others to hear, "Like she'd even have access to that kind of money," triggering ripples of snickering throughout the group. Samantha Taylor, the incognito African-American chief executive, maintained her composure despite feeling the sting of humiliation intensify with each passing moment. What these staff members remained oblivious to was about to fundamentally alter their professional trajectories, personal lives, and the entire institution forever. 25 years before this demeaning encounter, Samantha had stood behind a different counter, dressed in a crisp uniform with a badge that read, "Junior Teller." Her journey from that initial position to the executive suite was nothing short of remarkable. Without privilege or connections, what propelled her forward was determination, intellect, and an unyielding work ethic that carried her through the ranks of Summit Financial. When she attained the executive suite as Chief Operations Officer 5 years prior, many assumed she had encountered the glass ceiling. They were mistaken. 3 months ago, when Summit CEO announced his retirement, the board found themselves at a crucial juncture. Despite Samantha's impeccable credentials and 2 decades of loyal service, several board members privately expressed reservations about her readiness to lead. After a contentious vote, Samantha Taylor became the first African-American woman to lead Summit Financial. Her acceptance speech was gracious yet pointed. "I will ensure that every client, every employee, and every community we serve experiences the same level of respect and excellence. No exceptions." These weren't empty promises. Behind closed doors, Samantha had been monitoring a troubling pattern of customer complaints. While overall satisfaction metrics appeared healthy, deeper investigation revealed significant disparities in service quality across certain branches and demographics. Rather than relying on reports and second-hand accounts, Samantha decided to experience the reality firsthand. The flagship branch downtown was managed by Maya Wilson, a 15-year veteran with an impressive record on paper. Her numbers were exceptional, but customer exit interviews told a different story. People were leaving, especially customers of color, citing poor service and feeling unwelcome. It was 9:15 a.m. on a Tuesday when Samantha walked through the revolving doors of Summit Financial's flagship branch in modest attire. A simple gray hoodie over dark slacks and a baseball cap. To anyone observing, she appeared to be a casual middle-class woman, not the CEO of the entire institution. Taking a seat in the waiting area, Samantha observed the customer service dynamics unfolding around her. What she witnessed was revealing. A white businessman in an expensive suit was immediately escorted to a desk, bypassing the line entirely. An elderly Asian couple was directed to take a number and wait. No smile, just a pointing finger. A young white woman had her transaction completed in under 2 minutes with friendly chat, while a Hispanic man in maintenance worker clothes faced additional questions, multiple ID requests, and suspicious glances for a simple check cashing that took nearly 10 minutes. After waiting 37 minutes despite the branch being only moderately busy, Samantha finally approached the counter. When she reached Amber's window, the young teller's smile faltered. "How can I help you?" she asked, her tone noticeably cooler than with previous customers. "I'd like to make a withdrawal, please," Samantha said, sliding her ID and withdrawal slip across the counter. The amount, $115,000. Amber's eyes widened as she examined Samantha's driver's license, looking back and forth between it and Samantha's face. "This is a substantial amount," she said, her voice rising just enough to catch her colleague's attention. "Yes, it is," Samantha replied calmly, "but it's well within the daily limit for my account type." Instead of processing the transaction, Amber turned and whispered to Jason, the senior teller at the next station. Jason approached, positioning himself to tower over the counter. "Is there a problem here?" he asked loudly, directed at Samantha. Heads turned throughout the lobby as customers stared. With remarkable composure, Samantha placed her bank card on the counter alongside her ID. "No problem at all. I'm simply making a withdrawal from my account." Jason picked up her ID, studying it with exaggerated scrutiny. "We've been seeing some unusual activity on these types of accounts lately," he said, emphasizing these types just enough to make his meaning clear. "What types of accounts would those be exactly?" Samantha asked, her voice steady. Jason ignored the question and asked Amber to pull up the account history. Another staff member, Eric, leaned in and whispered, not quite quietly enough, "Probably one of those money laundering schemes." Eric looked Samantha up and down with contempt, taking in her modest clothing and natural hair with a smirk. "We just need to verify the funds are actually yours," he said with false sweetness. "It's for your protection." Despite this calculated humiliation, Samantha maintained her dignity. "I understand the need for security. I've provided my identification and bank card. I'm a customer of this bank and have been for many years. I'd like to complete my transaction now, please." That's when Eric called over Maya Wilson, the branch manager. She approached with practiced authority, not bothering to introduce herself. "Ma'am, I understand there's some confusion about your withdrawal request," she said condescendingly. "There's no confusion on my part," Samantha replied. "I'm simply trying to access my own money." Maya's smile didn't reach her eyes. $115,000 is a significant amount of cash. "May I ask what it's for?" This question, one that had not been asked of any white customer that morning, hung in the air between them. After glancing at the ID, Maya's mask slipped completely. "Ms. Taylor, this amount doesn't seem appropriate for someone like you. This bank prides itself on dignity, and we have a certain class of customers we serve, so we can't serve you here." In those few words, Maya had revealed exactly what this was about. Not security protocols, not banking regulations, just pure, unfiltered prejudice dressed up in corporate speak. Eric leaned against the counter with newfound confidence. "Did you come into some money recently? A settlement, perhaps? Or maybe an inheritance?" The implication was crystal clear. In their minds, there was simply no legitimate way an African-American woman could have access to this kind of money. Samantha took a deep breath, not showing a hint of the rage she must have felt. "I'd like to speak with someone who can actually help me complete my transaction, please." Maya's smile tightened. "Ma'am, I am the highest authority in this branch. There's no one else for you to speak with." She leaned in, lowering her voice to a stage whisper. "Perhaps you might be more comfortable at the check-cashing place down the street. They're more accustomed to handling your type of banking needs." Without another word, Samantha reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. "Excuse me for a moment," she said, stepping slightly away from the counter while still remaining in full view of everyone, as she dialed. "Yes, hello?" Samantha spoke into the phone, her voice taking on an even more professional tone. "This is Samantha Taylor calling." Eric mimicked her posture exaggeratedly for the amusement of his colleagues. Maya stepped forward, patience exhausted. "I'm going to have to ask you to conclude your business elsewhere. You're creating a disturbance in our branch." Samantha continued her call as if Maya hadn't spoken. Her calm was unsettling to Maya, who was used to people either exploding in anger or retreating in defeat. "Ma'am," Maya's voice rose, "if you don't leave the premises immediately, I'll be forced to call security." That's when Samantha turned away and spoke her final words into the phone. "Rachel, I need you in the downtown branch now." The name hit Maya like a physical blow. Rachel, as in Rachel Montgomery, head of operations for the entire bank? A flicker of uncertainty crossed Maya's face before her arrogance reasserted itself. Probably just name-dropping, she thought. In the headquarters building, Rachel Montgomery stood bolt upright at her desk, her face draining of color as she recognized who was calling. "Get me every customer complaint from the downtown branch for the past year," she barked at her assistant. "Every single one." In the adjacent conference room, board members watched in stunned silence as security feeds from the downtown branch were pulled up on the main screen. That's Samantha Taylor," stammered a board member. "That's our CEO." "Yes," the security director confirmed. "And this has apparently been going on for 17 minutes already." Back in the branch lobby, Maya had summoned the security guard, a young man named Luke who looked deeply uncomfortable with the situation. "I need this woman escorted from the premises," Maya instructed. "She's creating a disturbance and refusing to leave after being denied service." The security guard hesitated, sensing something wasn't right. Samantha calmly explained that she had every right to be there and had broken no rules. "Ma'am," Maya's face flushed with anger, "this is a private business, and we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who may be attempting to commit fraud." The accusation hung in the air: fraud. Without evidence, Maya had leveled one of the most serious allegations possible in a banking environment. Rather than argue, Samantha quietly raised her phone and continued documenting the situation. Maya noticed, and her expression darkened further. "Photography is not permitted in the bank. This is another violation of our policies." "Actually," Samantha replied, "according to Summit Financial's own customer service policy, Section 4.3, customers have the right to document any interaction where they feel their rights are being violated." The specificity of her knowledge caught Maya off guard. Questions began forming in her mind, but instead of reassessing the situation, Maya's face twisted into an ugly sneer. "These people are always trying to game the system. They come in here thinking they know the rules better than we do." The mask had dropped completely now. No more pretense, just naked prejudice on full display, captured forever on the bank's own security system and Samantha's phone. The elevator chime sounded faintly. Maya's head turned slightly at the sound, momentarily distracted. Something in the air had changed. The grand double doors of the branch burst open with force as Rachel Montgomery strode in, her presence commanding immediate attention. "Stop this immediately." Her voice carried the weight of absolute authority. Maya's expression shifted from irritation to confusion as she recognized the executive. In 15 years, Rachel had visited perhaps 3 times, always scheduled weeks in advance. "Do you have any idea who this is?" Rachel gestured toward Samantha, who remained perfectly composed. Maya glanced between them, confusion giving way to dread. Rachel approached Samantha with profound respect. "I am so deeply sorry you experienced this, especially here," she said, her voice carrying throughout the silent lobby. Then she turned back to face the staff. "This," she announced, "is Samantha Taylor, the CEO of Summit Financial. Your boss." The words landed like physical blows. Maya staggered backward as if struck. Eric's hand flew to his mouth, his eyes widening in horror. Jason's face drained of all color. Amber began to tremble visibly, tears welling in her eyes. "We've been watching," Rachel continued, holding up her tablet displaying security footage from throughout the day in crystal clear definition. "We've seen how you treated Ms. Taylor, and we've seen how you treat others." The tablet showed split-screen comparisons. White customers processed with smiles and efficiency juxtaposed with minority customers facing scrutiny and suspicion for identical transactions. "Every interaction in this branch is recorded," Rachel said. "What we've witnessed today is a pattern of discrimination so blatant, so egregious, that it violates not only our company policies but federal banking regulations." Maya attempted to defend herself. "This is a misunderstanding. We have serious security concerns with large cash withdrawals." "Save it," Rachel cut her off. "We reviewed the footage of 3 similar withdrawals processed earlier today for other customers. The only protocol you followed consistently was discrimination." The main entrance opened again as 3 board members entered the lobby. their expressions grave. Their presence elevated what was already a catastrophic event to something unprecedented in the bank's history. Through it all, Samantha Taylor stood perfectly still, her dignity intact. Finally, she spoke, her voice calm but carrying the unmistakable weight of authority. "Maya, Eric, Jason," she said, addressing each of them in turn with deliberate eye contact. "You are terminated effective immediately. Your actions today have demonstrated that you are fundamentally incompatible with the values of this institution and the legal requirements of fair banking practices." Samantha turned to Luke, the security guard. "Please escort these former employees to collect their personal belongings and then off the premises." As the disgraced employees were led away, Samantha addressed the remaining staff. "What happened today isn't just about 3 individuals making poor choices. It's about a culture that allowed those choices to seem acceptable, a culture we are going to transform starting right now." Turning to Amber, the young teller who had shown discomfort throughout the ordeal, Samantha saw not just remorse but potential. "Effective immediately, you're being promoted to interim branch manager." Amber's eyes widened in shock. "But I'm just You're someone who recognized that what was happening was wrong, even if you didn't have the tools or confidence to stop it," Samantha explained. "That awareness is the foundation we need to build on." 3 days later, Samantha announced the bank's new Equitable Banking Initiative, a $50 million investment in anti-discrimination training, community outreach, and internal accountability systems. Banking discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's bad business, Samantha explained to the press. "When we fail to serve all communities equitably, we leave talent undeveloped, businesses unfunded, and potential unrealized." In the months that followed, Samantha Freeman became the face of corporate accountability in America. Branch managers found their bonuses tied to equity metrics alongside traditional performance indicators. Anonymous customer experience surveys were disaggregated by demographic data to identify disparities. And in every Summit Financial branch, a new sign appeared inside the teller windows. "All customers deserve respect, dignity, and fair service." Below was Samantha Taylor's direct office line. 6 months after the incident that transformed Summit Financial, Samantha once again donned casual clothing and visited branches unannounced. But this time, her purpose wasn't to expose discrimination. It was to witness the changes taking root throughout the organization.